stack another performance and keep stacking performances week in and week out.
Bijan inside the 5, bangs into the end zone.
The red-hot Falcons look to sink the Seahawks on a huge day of college football. That and more coming on Early Birds.
Grab a cup of your favorite Joe and let's talk Falcons football on Early Birds, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Good morning and welcome into Early Birds alongside Michael Jenkins. I'm Justin Felder. We got D.J. Shockley joining us in a few. And Jenk, how you feeling about your division-leading Falcons?
So great. 3-0 in the division. I mean, what more can you ask for?
They can ask for a 4th straight win. That's what they're going to be trying for tomorrow against the Seahawks, a game you can see here on Fox 5. And Jenk, what is Seattle going to be thinking about this Atlanta offense? 2 weeks ago, they throw for 500 yards. Last week, dominant on the ground. That's got to be a challenge.
I mean, it's amazing how we can win in a variety of ways. Like you said, threw for 500 one game. We rushed for 200 the next game. You got guys all over the field that can make plays. And so it's tough for any opposing team to come in here and stop this offense.
Absolutely. Kirk Cousins hopes that Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier can build off what they did on the ground last week.
To have that running back depth makes a difference, and just have a lot of confidence in both of them, and not just in running the football, but in playing that position, which involves so much more when you talk about protection and running routes. But to have two people to carry that load is a big help.
As we continue on the opening drive, the Falcons remain last in the NFL in sacks. Geno Smith for the Seahawks, he's thrown for a ton of yards, but Seattle not really protecting him that well. So, Jenk, something's got to give.
Yeah, something's got to give. I mean, we got to find ways to get to the quarterback. So it's with either guys winning their one-on-one matchups, we bring more pressure. I mean, we got to find a way where we don't overexert ourselves and leave ourselves vulnerable in the back end. So I'm sure the staff, they're looking at it. It's like, how can we affect the quarterback more and stop these drives without having to go 8, 9, 10 play drives. So they want to get to the quarterback too, and we hope they get that done.
Yeah, Shock, how about you? What do you think?
Well, J&J, I think the pass rush will have a big impact in this ball game. As we know, Seattle wants to throw the football all over the yard. And I think the Falcons are so close to getting to the quarterback. They've had some hurries, they've had some rushes, but they haven't been able to get the quarterback on the ground. This is going to be a ball game that I think they have the ability to get to him, but also force the ball out of Geno Smith's hand. He's been sacked 7 times in one ball game, 3 in 3 other ball games. I think this is a guy who has an opportunity to give the Falcons the football. Here's what the Falcons are saying about getting to the quarterback.
You get frustrated, everybody who wants to get production on the quarterback, people may want more picks, whatever it may be, you can get frustrated as a competitor, but you can't let that frustration become something to be discouraging, and so you got to turn whatever frustration you got and put it back into your craft, into your grind, so you can get the results you want.
And as we wrap up the opening drive, this is a Seattle team, Jenk, that started the season with 3 straight wins. Now they have lost 3 in a row. So how big a test are they going to be for Atlanta?
I mean, it's going to be a huge test because they're a desperate team, especially you're facing an NFC foe that counts for playoffs later down the road. So, you got to expect everything, fake punts, fake field goals, just trick plays for them to go out on the road and try to get a win.
Absolutely. Well, welcome into Early Birds alongside Michael Jenkins. I'm Justin Felder, D.J. Shockley here with us as well. And Jenk, Seahawks coach Mike McDonald, he went to Centennial High School in Roswell, known as a defensive guy, but the Seahawks defense, they've given up some points. So Kirk Cousins and company, they got to be feeling pretty excited.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen our offense now go out and score 30-plus points. And so obviously they realize that, the Seahawks defense, so they're going to try to do what they can to slow us down. So, we just have to worry about our brand of football. Yeah. Continue to get first downs, continue to extend drives, and score touchdowns versus field goals.
Absolutely. It'll be a fun one to watch tomorrow. Jenk will be back in a moment. Shock is sleepless in the film room. We'll head that way in a second. But first, you never know who's going to step up for this Falcons offense. A couple weeks ago, it was Kaderil Hodge, who's only been on the field for 8% of the offensive snaps this year, but had arguably the biggest catch of the season. Also a veteran mainstay on special teams. Our Kelly Price talked to Hodge one-on-one this week.
And they're going to gun it, and it's caught. Kaderil Hodge, 35, 30,
Take it, baby.
20, 15, 10, 5, drive home safely. Oh, my goodness.
For them to trust me in that situation and to throw me that ball in that type of situation means a lot. That means they see how I prepare and see the work I put in day to day, and they know I can go out there and do things. So that just goes to show that the work doesn't go unnoticed.
It feels like all your teammates, everyone was so excited in that moment because they see what you do behind the scenes and how much you do for this team, and to kind of have that like payoff moment in a public way. Like, what was that to see all your teammates kind of come around?
I think that was the most exciting thing, just to see how excited they were for me. So just to see the response from them, and just to see how like they came and like, you know, the little huddle thing at the end, that was cool. They held me up. That probably never happened to me before, but in that moment I was like, yeah, it's happening. It was crazy just to see how excited those guys were for me. That meant a lot, and that was just, yeah, that was a crazy moment.
I know you've been here since 2022, so not like a tremendous amount of time, but so much has happened, I feel like, in those, since now your third year here. Well, how have you seen this organization and the people here, and obviously the coaching staff, so much has changed? Like, how have you seen all of that develop over the last couple of years?
I think right now what's changed is like the energy in the building for the most part, day to day. Everywhere, from locker room to cafeteria to meeting rooms, everybody has that energy where you just want to be in the building. And you can be having a bad day at home, but you come here and the guys and the energy is great. So you forget about the outside world for a minute.
It's funny because a lot of people feel the opposite way about their jobs. They're like, oh, I can't wait to go home.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had like some of those moments last year where you come in the building and you just can't find the energy. And you just, I wouldn't say don't want to be here, because you're living your dream at the end of the day, but you don't have that energy. It's like you just want to like have conversation and want to be around everybody. So that's the biggest change, and it's a blessing. Like it's fire. I just say that it's fire. It's good to have.
It's time to get some game intel from Shock. You're invited into the film room, so cut the lights and let's get started.
When you're talking about trying to get pressure on the quarterback, I think the Falcons are doing a good job of trying to use multiple players or even linebackers to try to get pressure on the quarterback. Here's a particular play here when you're talking about getting pressure on the quarterback and finding ways to do it. Now here's Caden Ellis right here. Caden Ellis is your stand-up linebacker. You got Matthew Judon right here, who's your defensive end. What they're going to do is they're going to play a game, which is called an ET stunt. So what happens is Ellis is going to come up, and his job is to take control of these two defenders right here. And then you're going to have Judon, who's on this side, who loops around, and he wants to get the pressure. But as he comes around, this guard is going to take in, which forces Ellis to get through. Let's watch how this play unfolds. And here's the ET stunt here. The little stunt that comes from the inside. And now look at it. So he's pushing these guys inside. Now they're like, oh, I got to take him. And Judon's going to come around this way. But what happens is he sees him, and he comes off of him. As soon as he comes off him, now Caden Ellis has an ability to get to the quarterback and pressure him, which forces the ball to come out sooner than he wants to. You see, now he pushes him, now the ball's in his face. And remember, this is 3rd and 8. The ball has to come out of his hands quicker than he wants to because he got the pressure. This is what we call a simulated pressure, and the Falcons getting home. And let's watch it again from the backside. Doing a good job of coming, and then boom, look at that. Now you got the pressure. He's not even ready to throw yet as the receiver comes across, and now you get pressure in his face. A nice job of putting it off and then getting off the field. The Falcons have to continue to create these simulated pressures, and eventually they will get the quarterback on the ground. Trust me, they will get sacks, but these pressures are on their way to getting it done. Justin, I think the Falcons are primed and ready to get Geno on the ground.
Yeah, Shock, we'll be watching for that tomorrow. Great breakdown. We've got a huge day of college football ahead as well. It's a Game of the Year candidate between Georgia and Texas. Notre Dame, they're going to be facing off with Georgia Tech. We got Cenk back to break it all down. Plus,
the biggest thing, tackling somebody at full speed, you got to be willing to tackle to begin with.
It's all about want to when you face the ball carrier head on. Arnold Ebichetti explains when we go deep.
You're watching Early Birds, presented by Mercedes-Benz. The best, nothing. And sponsored by the Georgia Lottery. Today could be the day. And the Home Depot. How doers get more done. More Early Birds coming back at you. Early Birds. It's not Saturday down south without talking college football. Brought to you by Zaxby's, famous fingers and sauces. Here's Justin Felder.
All right, back now with Michael Jenkins. Bye week for your Ohio State Buckeyes. You think they get? I know. I'm sorry.
We just had to. We had to bring it up.
You think you get a chance for revenge later in the season against Oregon?
So. I really do hope so. We handle business. We'll see those guys again.
It would be appropriate indeed. That was a big game last week. The big one tonight, obviously, Georgia and Texas in Austin. And Jenkins, it's kind of weird because the Dogs come in as underdogs. We don't get to say that a whole lot. What do they need to do to win?
It's crazy. This one feels like everybody's going with Texas. Georgia doesn't have a shot. Even though they're only 3-point dogs, I think Kirby's going to have this team fired up, ready to go. They only seem to lose to Bama for some reason. So I can see them, Carson Beck taking care of the ball, finding the running game, that defense getting stopped on that Texas offense. Georgia's going to make some noise in this game. Yeah, absolutely. And a good chance for Carson Beck and this offense to establish themselves again after maybe not having the consistency they want. Correct. And, they know it. They know against Mississippi State last week, they didn't play their best, but they still won. And, every win is huge. So I think you'll see a complete game, team with their hair on fire, just going out on the road and making a statement tonight. Georgia is 2-1 under Kirby Smart against teams ranked number 1 in the country. It'll be their first game against Texas in Austin since 1958. Ooh.
None of us have really ever played at Texas to say, but it's an SEC game on the road. Thankful to already have a few of those this year, and especially at night. But that don't really matter for us. We're gonna come in regardless and ready to work because we believe the work we put in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Fridays are the walkthroughs. You mentioned that Georgia defense. A lot of eyes going to be on that secondary. I know Quinn Ewers was your Heisman pick. He's probably looking to restart that campaign against a Dogs secondary that's had some questions going on. Yeah, I know the Dogs aren't hoping that he does that, but this is a very young secondary. KJ Bolden, freshman, Buford Jones starting back there, has played well, shown moments, got his first pick a couple weeks ago. So those guys are going to have to step up in a big moment today and get the job done. So what's made Texas so good this year? They're great on both sides of the ball. Their offense scores points. Their defense stops teams from scoring. And I believe the defense only gives up around 3 or 4 yards per play. I mean, that's unheard of. So they're good on both sides of the ball. Well-coached team with Sark over there. So they make it tough for opponents to beat them. You mentioned Sark. Longhorns head coach Steve Sarkisian knows what he's up against.
A heck of a challenge this weekend against Georgia. Very good football team. I have a ton of respect for Coach Smart. The point I've made to the players, we need to continue to stay enamored with us and what we need to do and focus on the task at hand. It's not what other people say. It's actually about what we do. It's about our action and then focus on it one day at a time from there.
All right, so here we go. The winner tonight is?
Georgia.
Georgia?
I'm going with Georgia. I just feel like everybody's going against Georgia that's outside of Georgia, outside of the Georgia fans. So, Kirby's, he knows it and he feels like his team, hey, they're the underdogs. He's going to have those guys with their hair on fire tonight, and I just can't wait to watch. Kirby loves being the underdog. Doesn't happen that much, that's for sure. Another really good one today, Georgia Tech, another chance to knock off a top 15 team. They're taking on Notre Dame at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Jenk, how do you see this one playing out? I've been a Tech fan all season long. So for some reason, Coach Key and this team always does well when they're double-digit underdogs. They always seem to find a way to get the win, and I think they do that again, especially playing in the Benz. Big game for them. So they just find a way, and especially these big games. So I'm excited to see this team play and stop a really good Notre Dame football team. That should be a fun one to watch, Georgia Tech and Notre Dame. Jenk, enjoy the bye week for your Buckeyes. I'll try to make other plans for the Gators game tonight. We got to fire up Air Force Shockley to get to Austin. DJ will send it your way.
I appreciate it, guys. Definitely looking forward to my dog taking down Texas tonight. Now, every week on Early Birds, we ask a Falcons player how they do what they do. It's a segment we call Going Deep. Linebacker Arnold Ebiketie gives us his perspective on one of the most exciting but dangerous parts of football. We found out just how to tackle a player coming at you full speed at this week's Going Deep.
The biggest thing, tackling somebody at full speed, you gotta be willing to tackle to begin with. Because I think it's more mental than it is physical. Because you can have somebody whose mental is not ready to tackle and your body would not be ready to tackle. Compared to somebody who have bent knees and prepared for the impact. That way you don't get blown back. So I say it's more so having that willingness to tackle first, and the rest of it, your body will just follow.
So it's really kind of more instinct once you kind of accept, like, this guy's coming at me full speed, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Like,
the moment you flinch and you hesitate, that's when most of the time you see people again put on ESPN top 10. Nobody wants to be the other guy.
how do you prevent yourself from being that guy? Is it really just being prepared for that moment, or is there more you can do there?
Techniques, reps, that's what practice is for. You practice, you work at your craft, and when it comes down to game time, it's just muscle memory, and you just apply what you've been doing.
That was great stuff. Nobody wants to be the other guy in the top 10 plays. More ahead on Early Birds. It's a common injury that can cost some serious time. Do some toe touches to warm up during the break. Early Birds will be right back.
Going Deep is brought to you by Zaxby's. Famous fingers and sauces. We're getting your Saturday started right. Early Birds is back in a moment.
Welcome back to Early Birds. Well, hamstring injuries are unfortunately common in the NFL. Falcons safety Justin Simmons came out of the last game dealing with one. Got to be careful with hamstrings too, otherwise they can tend to linger all season long. That's the focus of this week's Emory Road to Recovery.
Hamstring injuries and other soft tissue muscle injuries are more common than we want them to be. And, we grade them, on the mild side, medium, higher grade 1, 2, grade 3. And then the location, or how many muscle groups are involved when it comes to a hamstring specifically. And so similarly to other recovery processes, we're looking at, their baseline metrics. We have that data. We know how fast they normally run. We know how strong they normally are, how high they can normally jump, some of these things. And so as we're going through the recovery process, performing all these modalities, maybe performing some kind of biologic injection, doing all these rehab principles, and again, like I've said before, listening to the athlete most importantly, we can kind of see as they progress back to their baseline, listen to them, see them, use that data that we have, and then we feel safely to let them return. And then when it's maintenance after that, we really want to institute some maintenance stuff with guys who have soft tissue injuries to try to prevent them, most importantly, from happening again in the future.
Hamstring injuries are nothing to play with. This week, one player did his part to make sure animals are safe and healthy. We'll show you how he did it after the break.
You're watching Early Birds, presented by Mercedes-Benz, on your official home for Falcons football, Fox 5 Atlanta. Early Birds has been presented to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Dogs are always like your best friend, but then cats as well. I'm not really a cat person, but we do everything for our little furry friends, man.
This past week, Tyler Algier hosted an animal vaccination event at the Atlanta Humane Society. Tyler loves animals. Also, his family lost a dog to parvo when he was a kid, so you could tell this kind of event, vaccinations, Cenk, it means a lot to him.
Yeah, you can see. This is awesome to see that. Who doesn't love dogs?
Yeah.
So it's really cool that the Falcons are part of this.
That was great. A lot of cute little puppies, people coming in, getting to meet the team, cheerleaders and Freddie. Great stuff. Appreciate Tyler Algier helping put that event on. Falcons and Seahawks tomorrow at Fox on Fox 5. We're going to send it back over to DJ Shockley one more time. Shock, what's one more area you're going to be watching?
All right, thanks, guys. One more thing I'll be watching tomorrow is this Falcons run game. This is a Seattle defense that's 27th in the league, giving up almost 144 yards a game. We saw what the Falcons could do last week running the rock. They can absolutely do it again. Over close to 200 yards last week. This is a Seattle defense that is primed for some big-time playmaking ability in the run game. So run game, I think, will be huge. Play-action game, everything off of it should be good. Cenk, what you think about that, man?
Yeah, I like that, Shock. The Seahawks, like you said, giving up 170 yards rushing. We like to run the football.
Right.
So if we can keep that going, you think of time of possession, you think of scoring touchdowns instead of field goals, it'll be a long day for the Seahawks defense.
And the biggest thing we talked about at the beginning of the show, that pass rush. Geno Smith, he throws the ball all over the place, but the Seahawks have given up a bunch of sacks. So is there any player in particular or a group that you're going to be watching for, see if they can get to Geno?
I want to see Judon, just win some one-on-one matchups. Just win and, get a couple sacks on his own. Even if he doesn't get sacks, he's getting hurries, he's getting holding calls, and that hurts the opposing offense as well. So if Matthew can step up, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, put him behind the sticks, shorten some of those drives. It all works together as the Falcons look for another win. Well, that's it for us here on Early Birds. For Michael Jenkins and DJ Shockley, I'm Justin Felder. I appreciate you joining us. Have a good morning and a great rest of your weekend.